Okay, everyone, have we done a nice warm-up? Can you please come in here and we'll just have a big discussion? Can't believe you stuffed at the start of pre-season, mate. That's poor assistant manager's work. Really poor. But I'll let you off with it. We'll just pretend it was my issue. Hi guys, welcome. So obviously I'm Shaun, I'm the manager, because lots of new faces here for this season. Now, a bit of a scheduling issue, because we're in Group A/B of the Champions League. Only 1 week until we head to Fiji to play our first game. So I'm going to need you all to take these bunch of books with you to make sure that you learn how we play here at Cashmere Tech. And also, only got time for 1 pre-season friendly. So that's today against our first string team, the Turtles. I want you all to make sure you run yourselves ragged in those games. Then off the back of that, hit the gym every single day. Lots of training, lots of practice to try and get used to how we do things. Also that study, that's why I got all the books that you guys are being passed around now. And hopefully we'll be fine for the Champions League, because we should be getting through that group. We're the favourites of the whole competition. Just, you know, get your fitness up this next week and hopefully no embarrassment at the Champions League, okay? Let's hit it, boys. Season 2 for me. I want to go a couple better than last season and actually win all the trophies. Come on.
Party in the streets, in the cities on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 48 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with Cashmere Technical. And coming up today, going to start our second season in charge here at the Christchurch-based club, and it begins with some OFC Champions League group stage football. Before then, we'll also run through the transfers that we did make with a budget of around about £800,000 as we look to avenge our loss in the National League Championship final in yesterday's episode, the only game we lost last season, and it cost us a trophy. But if you're looking forward to the start of our second season here at Cashmere Technical in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But if you missed the episode yesterday, the end of the 5th season of The Save, our first one with Cashmere Technical, I'll leave a link to that one over in the top right corner. Obviously didn't end too well, as you can see there in the top right corner, our only loss of the season, and it did come in the National League final. So technically not the champions of New Zealand going into this new season. Hopefully we can fix that by the end of 2029. But before then, we start off live in the OFC Champions League. The first time we've made a Champions League in the Save, considering couldn't do it in the 4 years that we started off at AFC Auckland, with them being a New Zealand team in the A-League and all. But before we get stuck in to our first game, which is against AS Tefana, these guys are from Tahiti. That's a team who's given us a few headaches at times with the All Whites. They could be a bit of an interesting proposition, but being a professional outfit from New Zealand, we should really be wiping the floor with these teams in our group. In that OFC Champions League really should end up being a final between us and Auckland City if the draws do work out that way. But before we get stuck into that first game of our group phase, we'll see how that goes. And if we need to show you guys any more than that, because it could get a bit ugly in terms of the score lines that we could put on some of those teams, especially considering the transfers that we have made. So we haven't actually ticked over into the start of the 2029 season officially yet in New Zealand. The fixtures aren't even out for the Southern League yet. So it is going to be a bit funny in terms of how I show you guys these transfers on the history page, but we've certainly made a lot of moves to hopefully make sure we don't lose one game this season, seeing as it proved so costly last time around. And as it turns out, the fact that we haven't gone into the new season yet actually makes this transfer wrap up quite simple. Still in the year of 2028, so everything is still on the one page. As you can see, we've got 6 players who have departed and quite a few who have made their way to the club. Some interesting names, and amongst those, I say 7, actually more. It was 9 who departed the club as we started to make sales back in December. So we'll try and run through these in chronological order and not for too long, because we might need to get a game in today's episode, as well as a bus trip with those games being played overseas. The first sale that we made was Isaac Hover, this one to the Perth Glory for £4,200. This guy was our backup left back for the most part last season, until we got him Michael Fleming, formerly of AFC Auckland, on a much lower wage. To be fair, actually make a slight profit on that sale, but he ended up being third choice on 2k a week. That seemed like a big waste of money, so Isaac Hover is no longer at the club. Off the back of that, probably more surprising sale that we did make was the one of our starting defensive midfielder from last season, a loan to buy here from Sydney FC for Louis Munoz. As it turned out, found someone who was a New Zealander who could come in and make sure we could open up some other foreign spots, seeing as that guy was better. So Louis Munoz leaves for £13,000, not the biggest fee considering his ability and also the value that has been put on him, but he was in the final year of his contract, so he has gone to the A-League to Sydney FC, 13k mandatory future fee at the end of this season. Not too bad for a player who would have been leaving us anyway if he did not want to renew his contract, and also for a player who was on £4,000 a week. Really good for us in that one season here at Cashmere Tech, but as I said, found someone a little bit better to come in and replace him. And then a bunch of transfers happened on the opening day of the window, which was the 1st of January. Kevin Ward's contract was expiring. He didn't play for us last season. Wellington Phoenix surprisingly picked him up on a free transfer. Being an Australian who is 36 years old, that one seems a bit weird considering I didn't think he was good enough for Cashmere Technical, but nonetheless, he's these days at the Wellington Phoenix. It looks like playing for the Phoenix Reserve, so we might see him later in the season in the National League Championship phase if we make it that far, but really we should be considering how good we were last season. Other players to depart were both our right backs from last season as well. On New Year's Day, Skunderman Zalgi, he went to US Tatuini for £1,600, these days back in his home nation of Tunisia. Solid right back and left back option for us off the bench last season, but considering Cullen Elliott is the first choice right back these days, did feel like we needed to make that spot a local one or a New Zealander, Australian, or a Cook Islander. So we sold him for £1,600 after picking him up on a free transfer, and also got rid of the player who missed the penalty in the National League Championship final in Thibaut Orbertine. That transfer had been set up to go through for a long time, even before that final, but that just made sure that it was the right decision. He departed for £8,500, so a pretty good fee there for a player who got usurped by Cullen Elliott. So a couple of new right backs here at Cashmere Technical for the second season at the club. And on the same day, we started to get some players come into the club for this new season. We'll just sort out here the order. So first up, found a deep line playmaker that we could bring in, and this was sort of foreshadowing a move in terms of an out coming up in Emerson Ariosa and moving Lorenzo Janssen to an advanced playmaker, seeing as he's actually better than Emerson Ariosa. So I suppose we'll just cover this off now. Sold him to Tom Benze back in Brazil for £39,000. Good player, but local who was better, so got rid of him after a very good first season here at Cashmere Technical, 14 goals in 22 games, but pretty good profit for us there considering the level that we are at here in the National League. And with Lorenzo Janssen moving forward to an advanced playmaker for this new season, that did mean a spot was open for a deep line playmaker, and we got in Camilo Ray Dominic. Might start calling this guy Dirty Dom just because it's funny, but he comes to us from Boca Juniors, having been released from those guys, free transfer, 1k a week, which to be fair isn't too bad a wage, and he looks like a fairly decent deep line playmaker. Does the Argentinian with 3-star current ability and 4.5-star potential, a little bit better than our previous starter there in Alexander Lapane. So it does mean that we've got an Australian on the bench as the backup, but this guy is one of our foreign starters, the 22-year-old who didn't actually play for Boca Juniors when he was there, but that should indicate he'll be a pretty good quality option for us down here in the New Zealand National League. Also coming in on New Year's Day was another left back. Brought this guy in because he actually looked a bit better than last year's starter in Romane Bergesio. I'm keeping Bergesio just because we're not paying him much and £190 a week, so we'll keep him around. But Demian Dominguez, another Argentinian, he comes to us on a free from Velez, 23 years old, 2.5 stars current ability, 4-star potential, not a heap of potential, but as I said, a bit better than our first choice option last season. We actually found someone a bit better even than him, so it does mean this season he will be the backup left back. Is an area that we've stacked up in terms of our foreigners here at Cashmere Technical, so that is definitely a position that will be taken up by a non-local. And also coming in on New Year's Day were a few more defensive options. The first one, Ollie McGoldrick, picked him up on a free from Wellington Olympic. Wasn't really an area I was looking to strengthen too much, but he is a player who is a foreigner and not too far away from becoming a New Zealander. I say not too far still about 3.5 years, but did think he looked good enough to start for us here. Did the former Wellington Olympic man, who is Irish, has got some under-21 caps. I'm not too sure, though, if he'll be good enough to start for that Irish national team. Hopefully won't be the same situation like Sam Curtis from AFC Auckland, that picked him up on a free transfer that looked like a pretty good steal there from Wellington Olympic, especially considering that in a couple of years' time, he will become a New Zealand All Whites option, even though centre-back is a pretty good area of depth for us in the national pool. So Ollie McGoldrick comes to us off the back of 44 appearances for Wellington Olympic. A little bit surprising that they did decide to let him go on a free. And also coming in on the 1st of January was our big signing for this window, the replacement for Louis Munoz from the Central Coast Mariners. This is Jamie Fletcher. Spent £375,000 up front, which is around about half our transfer budget, rising to £400,000, and he will be our starting defensive midfielder as well as our captain. Actually started his career at Northern Rovers up north, the team from Auckland, who last season were playing in the Central League, but fairly promising player who's got over 3-star potential in terms of the New Zealand national team. He was playing for the Central Coast Mariners, so a little bit there of an interesting shift for him, but they were willing to sell him, so we've picked him up to be our new starting defensive midfielder. So Jamie Fletcher comes to the club as a record transfer. A couple more transfers came in around the same time that we did get rid of Emerson Ariosa. First up, I signed a new left wing option, which is a bit controversial because it does mean my son is now a backup in a different position for this season. But Ahmed Shushu is a player who has been on my radar out of Egypt, and Shooting Club, of all the names, for a little while, decided that we'd pick him up on a free transfer with 3-star current ability and 5-star potential, albeit one of those stars is a white one. He is certainly an upgrade on my son and does look like a very good player at only £600 a week. So hopefully he'll do a good job for us here this season at Cashmere Technical. Big shoes to fill, considering just how good my son was on that left wing last season. Didn't score a lot of goals in 157 appearances for Shooting Club. Probably should have practiced his shooting more, but nonetheless, he does look like a very promising player who should do a decent job down here in the National League. Also coming in around the same time as him was our backup right back. Probably spent a bit overs for him out of the Melbourne Victory Academy, but Julian Pike for £250,000 can cover both sides and also a little bit of centre back, albeit at only 1.6 metres tall. That's probably not a good idea, but local player who can cover both sides on the bench instead of Inzaghi, that did seem like a good idea. As I said, probably overpaid for him, but there weren't too many options in terms of domestic wing-back, so he comes in as a player who can sit on the bench, previously having played for the Melbourne Victory. Also coming in around the same time, we did then have Connor Kerwin on a free from the West Coast Rangers, young promising player with enough potential to be a factor in a couple of years' time in the All-White squad. Nice to pick him up on a free transfer from a Northern League team. He has good potential and his current ability not too bad either at 2.5 stars, especially at only 17 years old. One for the future on a cheap wage. Did seem like it would be a silly idea not to pick him up, even if our centre-back depth is now pretty strong. And also coming in before we did our next sale was Mark Anderson from Western Suburbs. Good young promising goalkeeper with a ton of potential. He can be the backup to Josh Hawkins, especially because Western Suburbs weren't even playing him, so he might get some game time in the cup competitions for us this season. Mark Anderson also just gives us some backup in case Matt Ford does get pinched, because he's the only player at Cashmere Tech these days who is not on a professional contract, can be picked up by someone at any time. So I felt like that might be some good backup just in case someone does come in for him. And the reason that Matt Ford is the only player still here not on a professional contract is one of the ones that we previously had on one did get pinched in Alafeti Paine. He's gone to our divisional rivals in Ferrymead Base on a free. Don't mind that, considering not much current ability and potential, especially with the amount of depth that we have brought in that position going into this new season. And a couple of days later, we made our last couple of signings before we do get into the start of this OFC Champions League. One of the reasons we did get on the transfers early to make sure these players did come in before the group phase of this tournament. This one, unexpected, a name that you should recognise if you were here for the AFC Auckland days. Georgios Victoros was being offered out for loan to clubs in Greece. and he's really, really close to becoming a New Zealander. So I thought we'd take one here for the team so he can hopefully be an All Whites option around halfway through this year. So Georgios Victoras comes to us for £120,000, probably overpaid, and to be fair, current ability and potential actually not as good as I thought it would be for a player who have been at AFC Auckland, but obviously we know all about him. Big aerial threat with that heading, that jumping reach, and also pretty good tackling, so he should be a good option for us in this squad, albeit might only be a backup option just because the foreign limit in terms of only being allowed 5 in our squad for the New Zealand National League, but just thought we'd keep him round for at least this season so he can become a New Zealander, and even then off the back of that, that should mean that he does not take up a foreign spot, and then he should get a bit more football for us. So Georgios Victoras, bit of an unexpected transfer there, but thought we'd better keep him around the country for just another 115 days at least for a fee of £120,000. And our last transfer was the starting left back going into this new season, which does mean that Bigizio might be a B-team player for us this season, just adding to our foreign depth there at left back. This is Jose Pedro, another Brazilian, 18 years old. He's even better than Dominguez, who we signed earlier in the window. 4 stars current ability, 5-star potential. That seemed like a good idea, especially for a fee of only £550. And the last transfer that we made was a loan. Ryan Hanna has gone out to Brisbane Strikers, considering we've got some extra depth these days in the deep line playmaker position. So that's all the transfers that we have done going into our second season here at Cashmere Technical. Have gone a little bit mad, it's fair to say, off the back of not winning that championship final at the end of last season. Otherwise, maybe some of those players we would have kept around, but did feel like needed to strengthen up the squad with that transfer budget that we did have these days. Got 55k left in the wage budget, still got 5k left in that, so still a little bit of moving room if we need to bring in one more player, but I do think with the amount of wage that we are now spending, probably not the greatest idea, because we are up around the 40k a week mark, which is quite a bit for a team down in this division, and what it means for our lineup going into the start of the new season. That is our best 11 in terms of when the team doesn't get restricted by foreigners, because that's not an issue here in the OFC Champions League. So Victoros can start alongside McGoldrick, but usually in the National League, that would be Connor Kerwin starting alongside McGoldrick. Otherwise, that is the team that we would put out. So a few changes, obviously, at the back. Quite a few changes there, especially considering that Callan Elliott is still out with that hip injury he picked up before that National League final, so he'll be missing for these group phase games here in the Champions League, but that's the only injury we do have going into the new season. So our centre-backs and left-back are different, as is our defensive midfield partnership, Jamie Fletcher alongside Duty Dominic. And in terms of up front, this a little bit more settled, but Lorenzo Janssen, he moves to the central attacking midfield position, considering that he was actually better attribute-wise than Emerson Ariosa, and Adam Does FM will be his backup. Shusha left winger, and Al Ghazali and Paquette, they keep their spots there from last season, as does Josh Hawkins. And in terms of the bench, this is what it looks like when it's extended. Josh Tuluvi is our right wing backup, just coming back from an injury. Nathan Walker, the left wing backup. That is why Adam Does FM this season can go in and play central attacking midfield, and other players that we do have down there who are new. Lots of centre back depth, which we might need to sort out at some stage. We've got Sean Stride, Connor Kerwin, Inchingase, Bailey Stevenson. So a lot of depth there, a lot more centre backs than we probably need. And also, both Damian Dominguez and Rosane Bigizio are registered for this Champions League. Seeing as with the space in our squad, probably Bigizio might make his way down to the B team at some stage this season. So it's definitely a new look team here going into the group phase of the OFC Champions League. Quite a few players still unfamiliar with our tactic. That's because the draw was made only a week ago for the group phase, and we just came back for pre-season. So we have one friendly going into the start of the OFC Champions League group, not even the new season because it hasn't ticked over yet. A 6-3 win over the third grade Turtles. So to be fair, not a great result. Hopefully we might find things a bit better this time around, but certainly lots of players here who might be in need of a gallop or two, but hopefully these will just prove to be pre-season type fixtures here, as we should make our way through Group A in this OFC Champions League. The teams alongside Tafana, who we are playing, Alabasa out of Fiji. They picked up a win 2-0 over Lupe Olusoaga from Samoa, but to be fair, We're from New Zealand. We should absolutely be topping this group with 9 points in first up. We do take on Tofana, but before then, the first couple of group games in the OFC Champions League this season are being played in a different country. For some reason, that last game is actually back at the GMP, which does seem a little bit weird, but the first two are over at Subrau Park, and that, if you're wondering, is in Fiji, the home of Labasa, who for some reason we're playing at the GMP, which does seem a little bit weird, but I suppose we're over in Fiji, may as well do a bus trip. And this probably won't be the most in-depth bus trip that we've ever had, because I've just realised here, Labasa is up there, and this is the main island of Fiji, so we're not even on the main island here for these first couple of games in the OFC Champions League this season, and also there are no hotels nearby, so this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. If found on the right island there, the Savazi Island Resort, so we'll have a look at this place. It does look quite nice, as you'd imagine, being a Fijian resort. Should be pretty good. We'll just ignore the airport closure, no doubt. That'll be sorted out for us here at Cashmere Technical. But there are the locals. That's what it looks like. It looks very nice, very private. Should be good for us lads here at Cashmere Technical. Can have a nice time there while wiping the floor with these teams in our Champions League group, and even might enjoy our time there off the back of our second game. Quite a short gap in between our first one and second one before we go back to New Zealand and take on Labasa, which still does seem a little bit weird, but does look very nice, does this place. So I think it's we will stay, considering it's actually on the right island. But the issue is, of course, that Fiji, no Google Maps in terms of being able to actually drive along. We don't want to get assistance there. Thank you very much. I'm not going to go there just yet. I'll sort this out maybe in the future. But it's a 1 hour 40-minute drive, and it's 95k, and that will be a sweaty trip as well in Fiji in February. That will be very, very hot indeed, but it's a long one, and with no Google Maps, not really too sure how much we can see. We can look at the terrain like we did when we were back in Vanuatu, but a lot of it will just be inland bush, so that won't be the most entertaining trip. We do go past the waterfall there in the Vua Domo. That does look quite nice from those pictures. That might be somewhere that we can stop on the way on one of these days when we play these two games. Also some boomer pools up there, but that does look like it might be a little way away. Quite a big gap, it looks like, until something else interesting does come up. We go past the college there, the Sikaka Central College, but continue to go on Cross Island Road, which does seem pretty well named. We then go past another college there in Tabia. Continuing to go on the Cross Island Road, we go past the Dalai Labasa police post. We'll just see what that might be. It's a corporate office, and eventually we do make our way into Labasa. To be fair, probably could fly from Labasa Airport down here to the airport a bit closer to where we're staying. That might be a quicker, better idea. Maybe we'd do that instead of the bus trip. Also just noticed the St. Bede's College. There's definitely one of those in Christchurch, so maybe that's been relocated since the earthquake or something. That'd be quite nice, because I'm not too sure if anyone really likes St. Bede's. But there is Subrau Park, where we're playing our games for these first two in the group phase of this OFC Champions League. Here it is in all its glory. It looks a little bit, but to be fair, it's got a grandstand and looks like it's actually got a few more facilities than that ground that we played at in Vanuatu back with the All Whites when finishing off our qualifying for the last World Cup. But there is Subrau Park. We'll see if we can get any better pictures of this facility, but it doesn't look like it. There's two photos, and the main one popping up is of a team. You can kind of see the background does look fairly decent. I think this is also a venue that is occasionally being used by the Fijian Drew, but don't hold me to that. I'm not entirely sure, just saw it pop up when I googled this earlier. Did pop up that it can also be used as a rugby ground. Not too sure where the rugby teams do stay, seeing as I struggle quite a bit for accommodation nearby. But there's a little short bus trip there for our time in Fiji around Subrau Park and Labasa. We'll come back shortly and hopefully get off to a good start in the show, while we should be the clear benchmark in this group as we take on Tofana out of Tahiti. And here are the team sheets for our first Champions League game of this save. Here are AS Tofana. They come to this one in really good form, but most of that will be from the preliminary round, and also out of Tahitian football, which might not be the strongest. In terms of us, we're at full strength apart from Pike at right back with no Callan Elliott, just that 1L from last season still appearing there, but hopefully we can get off here to a good start and show why we should dominate this group in the Champions League. And 5 minutes into this one, the first highlight does happen. It is in favour of Tofana, but good work there from us to intercept it. And Paquette starts to make his way forward, albeit it starts to go backwards a little bit. Just as I say that, and Dirty Dom plays that one back to McGoldrick. These players probably still trying to gel it as a unit, so it'll be interesting to see just how rusty we do look. But surely this is a game we can win. Pike there tries to make his way forward down that right-hand side, does lose out on the ball, but thankfully we win that one down our right-hand side and now try and get something going on the counter-attack. Shusha plays that one out there to the new Brazilian left-back. And Pedro takes on a shot, and that actually forces a good save there out of the Tofana goalkeeper, still using that same tactic from last season, seeing as it worked pretty well apart from the final. We've got a corner, it gets punched there. We'll see if Al Ghazali can unleash a shot or McGoldrick. Pike will play that over to Pedro. That's the first highlight. Still 0-0 at the 10-minute mark. And now 15 minutes into this one, there's actually a free kick here for Tofana, the Tahitian team. It forces a half-decent save there out of Hawkins looking for that bottom left corner. So actually Tofana here are showing a little bit of spunk early, haven't conceded quite as much as I thought they would, but there is a header away, and Al Ghazali hopefully can get us now going on the counter-attack. We'll see if this highlight does amount to anything. Picks out Janssen over there to Paquette, but I'm not sure what that shot was. Straight into the path of their goalkeeper, still 0-0. And we're nearly at the half-hour mark of this game now, and for some reason we still haven't scored a goal, so definitely short of a goal, it looks like here with Cashmere Tech and our 1 week pre-season prior to the start of this Champions League group phase. There's a great chance though for Al Ghazali, 1-on-1, but doesn't hit the target. A little bit rusty, still 0-0 after half an hour. And a couple of minutes on from that, great chance for Al Ghazali. Now there's a throw in here for Tofana yet again down that right-hand side. They keep hold of the ball and they try and make their way there down that side through to Tuma. Puts that one into the mix of Pike. Thankfully, here's that one away into the path of Gil Paquette. Should be the star player this season in the National League, considering that was also the case last season. Don't think we'll sign a player better than him, according to the people who do make up that Dream 11. Rather fortunately, do keep hold of the ball there down our left-hand side. Shusha there goes down, but thankfully keep hold of the ball. Jamie Fletcher, our captain, with a long-range effort not too long after. Dirty Dom will pick up the assist, and our star signing in the transfer window makes it 1-0. And hopefully now we can start to put the foot down a little bit more and put a hurting on these guys and show you why we probably don't need to show you guys too many more games from this group stage of the OFC Champions League. It's taken a while, but finally 1-0 in front with a few minutes left in the first half. And it looks like that'll do it for the first half. To be fair, that was pretty average on our end. We were definitely a team on the front foot, but our XG not as high as I would expect. As I said, maybe these guys still in need of a bit more fitness, having been called up late into pre-season with this tournament apparently not being scheduled like it should have been. You'd imagine we would have a longer pre-season if we knew we were going to the Champions League. Apparently not. We'll tell the guys doing well can definitely do better and hopefully pull away a bit more in the second half, as we only have a 1-0 lead. And a very early highlight here in the second half, so hopefully might kick on a bit off the back of that late goal in the first half, which was scored through our new captain in Jamie Fletcher. McGoldrick linking up there with Georgios Victoros. That a very strong centre-back pairing, albeit, as I said earlier, probably not the one we'll actually use when we get stuck in to the National League. Thankfully, Victoros got on the end of that ball. Shusha with a great chance 1-on-1, much like Al Ghazali, but again, we missed the target. Still only 1-0 in front. And a few minutes on from that good chance to start off the second half to Shusha. Now it's a throw in here for Tofana down the other end, but thankfully that ball goes straight into the path of Jose Pedro. Hawkins plays that one safely out to the goal scoring captain in Jamie Fletcher. That is a really nice ball out there to Gil Paquette down that right-hand side. Ball over the top there for Janssen. Comes off his bum. Good chance there for Dirty Dom, but unfortunately just puts that one wide. Still definitely the team on the front foot in this game, but can't quite put them to bed. Hopefully that won't prove too costly. Good work there from someone down the left-hand side. It was Shusha to make sure we can get the ball off of that goal kick. McGoldrick plays it across to Victoros, and now Fletcher back on the ball. Just taking our time here to make our way for Paquette. Looking dangerous, but to be fair, not much end product so far. That is a poor shot / cross. Not too sure if that was a shot or if it was looking for the run of Al Ghazali, but either way, still 1-0. Goal kick. We do briefly get the ball there, but it actually finds its way out to this right-hand side of the Tahitian team. Nice ball back there. Make sure they do keep hold of possession. Rickard now makes his way down this left-hand side, pulls it back there for Anne, and now Gendron with a long-range effort, which will find the back of the net. And there's the danger of us not putting this game to bed when we had the chances in the early stages of the second half. A little bit wasteful, and all of a sudden, we might be in a little bit of trouble here as it's 1-1. Still 35 minutes left, so surely we'll score one more goal and can kick on from there. But this is not best performance first up this season, drawing with Tefana from Tahiti. And a few minutes on from that goal to Tefana at the hour mark here, and some of our front four aren't playing too well outside of Gil Piquet. So we're going to take off here Shusha. Adam does FN, of course, he's actually the cam cover, so he'll come on and play cam for Jansen. It'll be Nathan Walker out on the left wing, so 2 subs there, and also we might make our third out of the 5 we can make in this competition. Al Ghazali struggling, Gilbert can come on for him, and hopefully they can help us pull away finally, because it's still 1-1 at the hour mark. And a few minutes on from those subs, now we're down the right end of the field here for a free kick. Good chance there, not too sure who pounded onto that one, but unfortunately his shot wasn't quite on target. Might have been Victoros, considering he's an absolute weapon in the air, but we do see the goal kick off the back of that, and Ricard is on the ball yet again here for Tefana. This is giving me flashbacks of the first goal, because it's exactly the same this time in the bottom right corner. And this could be a sackable offence, because we're supposed to be winning this Champions League here with Cashmere Technical. We're losing to Tefana from Tahiti, and I'm pretty sure they're not as good as Auckland Seas. This is a really poor first up performance from us. Unfortunately, Dirty Dom can't quite get in the way of that ball, and Gendron yet again will score a goal. We'll berate the boys, because somehow we're 2-1 behind to a team from Tahiti, which, considering how good we were in the National League last season up until the final, is a bit of a mystery, apart from the fact, of course, all these players are new, but good work there from Jose Pedro, and now my son is on the ball. Walker, of course, the National League player of the season last year. Maybe should have kept some of these boys in the team. Piquet does get in behind, puts that one away, and he is onside. Hopefully that's now the wake-up call we needed, going 2-1 down, the kick away, and pick up 3 points from this game. Otherwise, might actually need to play another one in today's episode just to make sure we actually get out of this group. But good fight back there after going 2-1 down. We make it 2-2 with 20 minutes left. And just about to make our way into the last 15 minutes of this game, and a couple of players have gone down to red hearts. So our last couple of subs, Connor Kerwin, he can come on for Victoros, our usual centre-back partnership for the upcoming National League season. And also, we might bring on here Bigigio in place of Pedro, seeing as he's a bit more used to life here at Cashmere Technical. That's all our subs used. 2-2 with 15 minutes left. And we're off the back of those last couple of subs going through. Now it's a goal kick here yet again to Tefana. They pump that one deep. Thankfully we win it. And now Piquet, he cuts in field, picks out Nathan Walker down the left-hand side this season. Just tries to size up his man there, tries to square that one, looking for someone at the far post. Unfortunately, can't quite find him. And this is looking dangerous here as Tefana try and get something going down the left-hand side, which has been very dangerous in the second half. Ricard has had a big hand in both goals that they have scored. They float that one into the mix, so thankfully Bigigio will head that away. But Tefana, they do keep hold of the ball. So this has been a really poor performance from us first up in the Champions League this season. They now have a long-range shot, but thankfully that one comes off the crossbar. I thought it must have gone over the bar because Hawkins didn't move. That's because he's having a bit of a shocker there in goal, a 6.4. But now we're going to make our way into the last 10 minutes. Definitely time for us to go attacking up tempo and also maybe push to a higher defensive line, because we really should be winning this game, but we aren't with only 10 minutes left. And just making our way into the last 5 minutes of this game, still those attacking changes haven't made too much difference, but now a late free kick here to us. We pick out McGoldrick at the far post, but unfortunately the Wellington Olympic player can't quite hit the target. 5 minutes of added time, not too sure how this is a draw based on stats from this game, but we haven't beaten Tefana, which is a little bit surprising. I say a little bit, that is a massive upset. Great point for them, but that's a really poor performance which is not great considering that was very, very close to our first choice 11 that did start that game, just Cullen Elliott missing. Maybe they still need some fitness under them and also to get used to our tactic just a little bit more. But that was pretty pathetic, and now that probably means we need results from our next 2 games. We should still pick them up, but it's not a great start. We are behind Labasa after the first match day of the Champions League group phase. And we are back about to play the last game of the group phase of the Champions League. I did record this one just in case in Labasa yet again, as we took on Lupe Olaswaga from Samoa. A lot better in this game with a very similar team, just Lapane coming in for a slightly tired Camilo Ray, Dirty Dominic, but this one was a much better performance, actually efficient in front of goal. We picked up a 10-1 win, so thankfully our players now have got their act into gear, and hopefully we can now beat Labasa in our final game and make our way through, hopefully as top qualifier, considering just how much that would have done for our goal differential. Here is what things do look like. The bottom 2 groups, if you're wondering, they play their games in a week or so's time. So it's a bit of an interesting situation with the group phase. In the OFC Champions League, we get a break off the back of this and hopefully can actually get our players to learn our tactic, because that certainly seemed like it was an issue in that first game. But next up, we take on Labasa. They defeated Lupe Olaswaga in their first game. We'll just go back. That was by a scoreline of 4-2. So not as much as we beat them by. And then they got beaten 4-1 by Tafana when we beat Lupe Olaswaga 10-1. So based on that, this is a team that we should really be beating, albeit that was also the case, I would say, with Tafana, but based on form, especially so. And also, if we lose to them, considering that Tafana are taking on Lupe Olaswaga, that might mean we don't make our way out of this group. So hopefully, we get our butt into gear here and pick up a win. The slight concern I have is that we've played our first team in both those games so far pretty much, and now they're tired. So we're going to risk things here and play near a full rotation. Hopefully these players are still good enough, especially because this is a team that for the most part was here last season, which is the one weird move is that Shaun Strider's a right back while Cullen Elliott is out with that injury. But hopefully off the back of that 10-1 prior win, we can now beat Labasa and make our way through to the quarterfinals as we're back at the GMP for our last group stage game in the Champions League. And a quick look at the team sheets for this game. There are Labasa. For some reason, they've been drawn as the home team, even though this one's being played at the GMP. They are going with the 4-2-3-1. There we are, as I said before, pretty much a full rotation with Hawkins, the only first team player, staying there at the back, and also Kerwin usually would be there for National League games. But a win here should see us qualify top. A draw would be okay, but a loss, that could be disastrous, because not expecting Lupe Olaswaga to do us any favours based on their 2 performances so far. And the first highlight of this game is in favour of the away team in Labasa. They played that one out to the right-hand side, and Non starts to make his way down. He makes his way inside the byline. That one takes a big deflection. It falls to Ekinkawa, and he puts it away. We're 1-0 down after 1 minute, and a pretty much must-win game here at home. We look very shaky off the back of pretty much no pre-season. These players are supposed to be the best ones in the National League and the Champions League. They're not looking like it. We go behind early. Albeit only a few minutes later, now it's a free kick down the other end in our favour. Lapane picks out Nchingase, takes a big deflection as Gilbert gets pushed into the back, and Adam does FM, as he often did last season. We'll pick up our first goal, his second of the season so far, after scoring one off the bench in that Champions League game before, I think it was, the 10-1 win. So many goal scorers, was hard to keep track, but thankfully we've responded early and make it 1-1 after 5 minutes. And in fact, right off the back of that previous goal, now we've got a corner in our favour. We try and put that one far post, looking there. I think that was for Kerwin, not too sure, but now Adam floats this far post looking for Walker. They hit it clear, but Shaun Strider, as a right back today, plays that one across to Pahas, goes all the way back here to Nchingase, the former Auckland City man, who unfortunately couldn't beat his former team in that National League final last season. Now Strider picks out to Levy, tight angle there for the former Phoenix man. We'll put that one away, and now hopefully we're going to start to get rolling in this last game of the Champions League group phase. We make it 2-1 off the back of that shocking start. Shaun Stride, decent ball here in that unfamiliar position as a right back to link up with Tulevi, 2-1 up after 7 minutes. And there's lots of action early in this game. Now a corner in our favour this time on the left-hand side. Dominguez at left back today plays that one to Gilbert. Now Walker inside the box. Dominguez, good short passing, forced to Parhas. That's a really good routine, but unfortunately that shot goes just over the bar. Looking for that top right corner, still only 2-1. And now it's a chance here for the Fijian outfit to do something potentially on the counter-attack and get this one back 2-2 They take their time here and eventually work it out to this left-hand side. Kakasi makes his way forward, picks out Kawa. Nice ball back there for Kakasi, who will beat Hawkins at the near post. And it's 2-2, just shy of the 15-minute mark. This is really not going well for us here, especially with this one being at the GMP, even though technically we are the away team. But this is some very average football from us early. Still all square, 15 minutes in. And there's lots of action early in this game. Now back down the other end here for a free kick. Gilbert picks out Inchingase, falls very kindly for Connor Kerwin. Thankfully he's onside and we get our lead back here at the GMP. Certainly not happy with how we're doing here in the group stage, apart from that 10-1 win that we didn't show you guys because we won 10-1. But thankfully we bounced back from that equaliser, and Connor Kerwin with his first goal for the club makes it 3-2. And still tons of highlights early in this game. Now a free kick here too. Michael James Gilbert, that one beats the efforts of Sharma. And now finally, hopefully, we're going to put this game to bed as we make it 4-2 just halfway through the first half. That is a wonderful free kick from our backup striker into that top left corner. And we've now got a 2-goal advantage. And a little bit of a break until our next highlight in this game, just shy of the half-hour mark. But unfortunately, back down the other end here, they float that one far post to the opposition out of Fiji, but Kumar gets back on the ball after we try and clear that one. We'll just see what the Barca here can do. They cut inside a little bit, but Kush puts that one over the top for Nand. Squares it nicely for their striker, but thankfully, big miss there as Hawkins. I'm not too sure if he would have saved that one. Thankfully, still 4-2 in front. And very late in this first half, there's a throw in here inside of the final third. Hopefully a chance for us now to put this game to bed. Walker there does quite well to keep the ball. Tries to square that one for a teammate, but unfortunately Labasa now with a chance to hit us here on the counter-attack. They try and get something going down this left-hand side through Kakasi. Has pace here too on our players. That's not too surprising given their Fijians, but that is a really good header there from Nand for free just before half-time. Hopefully we're actually going to hold on and win this game, but this is still some really poor football from us and some of our guys coming back for the pre-season here at Cashmere Technical. Looks like they're still treating it as pre-season. None there. He out-jumps our new left back in Dominguez for free. Looks like going to be the scoreline going in to half-time. And I think going to have to get a bit angry at the boys here because that looks a little bit silly considering they've only had 4 shots, all 3 on target. All 3 have got past Josh Hawkins, who, to be fair, is not having a good start to the OFC Champions League this season. Just click the wrong button there. We'll just sort that out and go back to the stats. All the players out there not on too bad a rating, but need to rip into them here because we're doing poorly, even though we're 4-3 in front. And so far, there's been no highlights in the second half, which is kind of good, kind of bad, considering we should really be thumping this team. We've now got Lapane down to red heart and also Nathan Walker going a bit fairly. So Shusha can come on at left wing, and also we'll bring on Duty Dominic for Lapane, our first couple of subs, to hopefully help us kick away and make sure we can win this one and go through to the quarterfinals. And about to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game, and there is now a corner here for Labana. Thankfully, Hawkins punches it and Gilbert can somewhat clear it. Not very convincing there from our goalkeeper, but thankfully it does work. And now my son, Adam Does FM, tries to get us on the counter-attack. Duty Dom somehow keeps the ball for us there. Now Adam will get on it and inside of the final third squares that one nicely for Shusha, who rifles that one into the back of the net. Missed some good chances early in that previous game, but thankfully didn't matter as we picked up a 10-1 win. That one a bit hard to miss. Thankfully didn't, and surely with only 10 minutes left, that'll be the goal to make sure we should go through as top qualifier from this group, albeit in extremely unconvincing fashion. Do think we might need lots of friendlies in between now and the start of the league season or the quarterfinals, whichever do come first, especially if we end up somehow playing Auckland City and not a team from another league. But we can make some subs here. Bagizio, he can come on at left back. Also, we'll bring on here Jamie Fletcher in the DM role. And we've got one more sub that we can make. We might send a message here to Josh Hawkins. He's been quite poor in the group phase so far. Mark Anderson, he can make his competitive debut. As we enter the last 10 minutes here with a 5-3 lead. We'll see if anything does happen in terms of highlights. But to be fair, stats-wise, haven't even played as well as we did in that first game, which we drew. But thankfully this time we are winning Gilbert here with a late free kick. Let's see if he can put this one away like he did in the first half. That time though, probably on the wrong side of the pitch, and he puts that one just wide and just high. We pick up a 5-3 win and should go through because of goal differential as the top qualifier. But as I said, the two games that we showed you guys, they were both pretty poor performances, especially the draw in that first one. Thankfully, the 10-1 win in between kind of saves our blushes, but we pick up a win at the GMP to make sure we'll be in the quarterfinals of the OFC Champions League. So some pretty average results there from the group phase of the OFC Champions League at Cashmere Technical. As you can see, gone forward quite a bit off the back of that last game that we did play, because we have waited for the other groups to be finished, both Group C and Group D. A quick look at how those did finish. We'll just make our way over to the different screen and go back to all groups. Of course, we finished top because of our goal differential. And actually, Tofana got held to a draw by Lupe Olaswaga. So we actually did finish top of our group on merit, even though didn't really feel like we deserved to, having drawn with those guys. Group B, AS Dragon from Tahiti, that's a brilliant name, and also Tawhia from Vanuatu. They go through. Group C, Auckland City won all their games, which is a bit concerning. They go through, as do Vanuatu out of the Solomon Islands, and also going through from Group D from the Solomon Islands are the Henderson Eels alongside AS Magenta from New Caledonia. Not too sure how the draw actually takes place for this. We'll just go and have a look now at the quarters and we can get stuck in. You'd imagine we'd have to play someone who finished second in their group, but it doesn't look like there's a seeding, so I'm a bit concerned already. We could end up playing Auckland City at the start of next week. They're the first team out. Let's just pray we don't get them. Dear FM gods, let's hope that worked. We don't get them. It's AS Magenta. I think they were second in Group D from memory, or Group B, so thankfully we do avoid them. Next out is AS Dragon. They definitely finished on top of their group. They will take on Tofana, so we'll see if that means anything if we maybe take on the second place team from Group B. Next up out of the hat are the Henderson Eels. They will take on Tawhia, and that means that we take on Vanuatu. They were the team, I'm pretty sure, that finished second in the same group as Auckland City. So hopefully that's a tie that we can win in the quarterfinals. And also while we're here, have got the draw for the semis. Let's hope we can avoid Auckland City until the final and get some revenge on them then. But to be fair, might have more chance of beating them over 2 legs if I get my team sorted out and how we want to play after those poor showings. In the group stage, AS Dragon or Tofana, they will take on City or Magenta, so it means if we get past Vanuatu like we should, we will take on one of the Henderson Eels or Tawhia in the semi-finals. So I think that's what we got to look forward to at the start of next week. Was probably going to skip over that a little bit, the teams who weren't Auckland City. But based on those performances I've just seen, maybe we should show you guys those games just in case we continue to play like a bunch of absolute muppets. But that will do it for today's episode. All those transfers going in to the new season, and also scratching our way through that group stage of the OFC Champions League. If you enjoyed it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. As I said, we'll come back at the start of next week and probably do something around this quarterfinal of the OFC Champions League, albeit that does coincide, I think, with the starting date of the Southern League. So we'll see just how that episode might work out. No draw yet for the competitions, so not too sure what we're actually going to be coming back for. But until the start of next week for the knockouts of the OFC Champions League, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.